Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be working on my buddy's CLK550 AMG again. Today we're going to be installing new hub bearings. I did the brakes and pads on this vehicle and rotors, and I noticed that the driver's side was bad. I ordered new wheel bearing or hub bearing assemblies right here. The other one's still in the box. I'm going to go ahead and install those today. So stay tuned. To explain what a bad hub bearing is, I recorded this video prior to this one that I'm doing right now while installing the new rotors and pads. Alright, so during the installation of the new rotors and pads, I noticed that the driver's side left hub assembly was warped when I was spinning the rotor with the caliper and brake pads back on, spinning it by hand. I'm going to show you by putting this wrench in here, and you can see the comparison for in between the bracket and the dust shield back here and the actual rotor. So just watch, you'll see. So see how tight it is right here? You can see the tightness. Now watch. I'll spin, and look at the gap now. Right? You see that? Look at the gap. The difference is there. So I'm going to show you again. Ready? Just hold right there. I'm just spinning the rotor, and it's actually squeezing the wrench back here. And then it opens up right there. And then it squeezes again. The wrench is almost squeezed in place. So I ordered new wheel hub assemblies for both sides. I'm going to go ahead and replace both wheel hub assemblies. So we'll wait for those parts to come in. Alright. So now we're going to look. If you look here, you can see that where the rotor sits. Now we're going to spin it slowly, and you can see the distance on this side and distance on that side. See where the spaces are? Just watch. This is the rotor, the old rotor. So here, you can see on this side now it's very tight. Now watch it open up again. Very tight. Opens up again. I don't know if you can see it there. See how it's wide? And then you're going to come back to tight right there. See it? Very tight. So we can zoom down. I'll show you now again. Ready? Probably can't tell as much on this one because this is the rotor that came off the car. So the rotor is actually warped with the hub. But you can definitely tell with the new one on there. So we're going to head and put the old brake pads back on just so we can move this car. All right, we're good. First thing we're going to do is we're going to crack the rotor bolt loose. This guy right here. On this particular model, it is a T30 star bolt, this style socket. These are a pain because they snap under pressure. So the trick to cracking these off is actually to tighten them up a little bit first. So if you're able to tighten it just a little bit and then crack them loose, see that? Comes right off. So take that off. All right, that's out of the way. What we're going to do now, we're actually going to remove the two center punches that hold it in. There's two dowels here that hold in place. There's one here and one here. This little retainer clip, you can take the pressure off by just pushing on them, and they do move. But I use a little bit of a hammer to get it started, so just tap them out. Tap the other one. There's one. There's two. Put those aside. Pull the pads out. You can use the dowels if you want. Just make sure not to bend anything. Pull the pads right out. There's one. There's two. Pads are out. You can see the rotor is now loose. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the actual caliper off. And this particular caliper, since it's a 4-piston caliper, this caliper is a caliper bracket combo. So we're going to go ahead and crack those back bolts loose. I believe for this model it's 18 mil. Yep, 18 millimeter. I'm going to crack those guys loose right now. Top one. Let's see if I can get this bottom one. All right, bottom one's loose. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to get a zip tie so I can get this guy up in the air and out of the way. Rotor comes right off. Actually, that might not be in the way too bad, so I'm going to leave this guy right here while I attack this hub. Okay, so now you want to take off the dust cap here to access the actual retainer bolt that holds the hub bearing in. You'll see with this one is a little different than normal. All right, dust cap's off. Let's see if I can get a better look at this here. So this one here, I don't know if you could see that or not, but that is not a nut and bolt setup. However, this thing is threaded. So I'm going to see if I can get a better look at this. Underneath here is this guy. So it's another T30 bolt. You just crack that one loose, and then once it's loose, then this whole fixture will actually take off like a regular bolt. And I'll show you that right now. Once that's loose, this guy should be able to just thread off. It's a little different because it's on an angle, so just be very careful when you crack that loose. Still a little tight. Now you can see it's hand loose, just the angle to get it loose. All right. No, it's still not coming off. All right. You get a pair of pliers on that because it should be hand loose, but it is not. All right, so this is actually not hand loose. I remember when I put the old hub bearing back on after I discovered it was loose, I used a set of channel locks to tighten it up. So I want to see if I can get this off. There we go. Now she's off. All right, let me show you what that is. If you can see this or not, but it is threaded. It has that T30 head on it. So now you can pull this one off and try to keep it together so you don't drop bearings anywhere. There you go. Old one's off. We're going to go ahead and take the new one and grease this one up now. Here's a new one real quick. I'm going to grease her up and then install that. All greased up, slide her in. Just like that. Grab that retainer bolt. Well, retainer clamp. I don't know what you would call this. But it goes on just like that. We're going to use the channel locks again to tighten her down. Not crazy tight, just tight enough. You want the thing to be able to spin freely still. All right, no play. Go ahead and tighten that guy up with that T30 socket again. All right. Nice and tight. It's good. Feels good. I'm going to go ahead and put some grease on the outside here in the dust cap, and then we'll go from there. All right, when you're installing the dust cap, you can see I put a little bit of grease in there. Just going to go ahead and mount that back on. Don't go crazy with it. So with this here, you don't want to punch it in the center because you could put dents in it. So you want to use the same technique and going on the outside with it. So we're going to go ahead and tap this thing in slowly. Back and forth so it's even. All the way around. All right. Let's get that new rotor on. So you want to line up this hole right here with the hole in the rotor so that when you install it, it lines up. Just like that. Okay. Get it on there snug for now, because after you mount the caliper bracket, or excuse me, the caliper and bracket, you can tighten that back up. And since we had some greasy hands from doing the hub bearing, you want to make sure you spray off this rotor front and back before you install the new brakes. Get all that grease off there, dust, whatever else was sitting on here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to compress those 4 pistons in with this tool right here. This tool is made by Lang. It's made in the US. I found this on an advertisement on Facebook, and I thought it was interesting. I wanted to try it out, and it actually works awesome, especially when you have more than one piston caliper. It could be a pain sometimes. It just works itself outwards, pushing those 4 pistons in. Then you crack it loose, slides right out. Let's line up those bracket bolts. Those 2 bracket bolts holes lined up. All right, they're hand tight. Let's go ahead and tighten this thing up. Nice and tight. All right, let's get these pads in. Back one in first. Drop it in until you line it up with the dowel holes. Front one next, same thing. Okay, lined up. Get the bottom one in first, grab that dowel pin retainer clip. All right. Get it started like that. Grab the other one. Same thing, hold this pin in all the way, or the retainer clip all the way. Get it over the top of the clip here. Line it up. So this retainer clip, you want to make sure that she's sitting dead center here in between the caliper itself. You don't want to sit on the outside edges like that because it won't go in, it won't line up. Now we're just going to take our hammer and tap the dowels the rest of the way in. Done. See how that spins? Nice and smooth. No scratching noises. Means it's perfectly even, leveled, and it's ready for the wheel, except we'll go ahead and tighten down this T30 bolt here in the center again. All right, nice and snug, nice tight. Still spinning nice. Get that wheel back on. So most German vehicles have wheel bolts rather than studs on the hub itself. So what I do for these is I try to get the wheel lined up, and then I take the socket off and I try to line them up by hand, all 5 of them first. Once you got them all back on by hand, go ahead and use your impact, socket wrench, breaker bar, whatever you want to do to tighten them up. I prefer impact. This happens to be an electric impact. Nice. Center cap's a little loose on this one. That's it. Let's get the other side done.